It's been a question for a lot of years now. Where do the Cubs find a leadoff hitter? We're going to tell you why an ideal candidate might not be so ideal next.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy, and this is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following and subscribing on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Opening day is 23 days away. And whenever and wherever you may be listening, thanks for joining us for a Tuesday episode. And we're going to get into some batting order and leadoff discussion. Sam, of course, we have some early indications from spring lineups, maybe based on how people are playing, maybe based on intel from David Ross or Jed Hoyer, or even Carter Hawkins, who we're going to hear from later, some quotes he had on Monday. Where would you like to start with the batting order conversation? Because it's an important one.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll say is it's starting to get a little bit laughable that Gomes and Barnhart continue to hit in the middle of the order in the spring. My guess is it's just a maintenance thing. So, they probably want to get them 2 ABs a game. So the higher up in the order they hit, the sooner they can leave the game and avoid putting extra miles on their legs catching. But I just would like to see as we progress here, those guys comfortable in the 8 or 9 spot. Unfortunately, Matt, when I say 8 or 9 spot, I'm sure those at home are saying, well, isn't it automatically going to be 9? And it's not, because it is starting to look very much like Nico Hoerner is going to lead off. And I think if Nico Hoerner leads off, they will not hit Gomes or Barnhart 9, because they're going to want somebody that could get on a little bit better in front of Hoerner. And you know that old saying, the double lead off, the 9 hitters, the double lead off. So maybe they hit the catcher 8th. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. And look, this will be the last time I mention this, because sometimes, we could give our takes, but there's no reason to beat a dead horse over it. They obviously are going to hit Nico Hoerner leadoff, and I just wanted to bring some. So I wanted to bring some data in as to why I think it's just a mistake. And on this show, I had mentioned my reasons being that. And let me say this: I still think Nico Hoerner can be a good leadoff hitter. I just think the team, the lineup construction that best benefits this team would be having him in the middle, because it plays more to his strengths. He's the type of hitter, and I'm old school a little bit. I think analytics have a place in this game. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm backing up my analytics having a place in this game by not hitting him leadoff. But he's the type of guy I would have a meeting with and say, hey, I'd love to see you get to 90 RBIs this year. Wow. I want you hitting in the middle of the order. People say, well, he doesn't hit a lot of home runs. How is he going to do that? Well, this is how. Nico Hoerner and Ian Happ. I found some splits, thanks to Baseball Reference, for coming through with this in 2022. And obviously it's one season, it could change. But leading off an inning, Nico Hoerner, 252, 289 on base. Absolutely abysmal. Ian Happ, 282, 333 on base. 2 outs with runners in scoring position. I believe the most underrated statistic in baseball. Analytics have glossed over it and said, hey, listen, runners in scoring position is just another at bat. No, it's not, Matthew, because any pitcher will tell you they're going to pitch a guy different with the bases loaded and 2 outs and a 1-run lead versus nobody on in a 3-run game. It's just, it's a different type of hitting. The people that say clutch hitting isn't a real thing, that's wrong. That's wrong. 2 outs with runners in scoring position. Nico Hoerner, 333, 404. That's the on base. Ian Happ, 197, 290. And in high leverage situations, so this is runners in scoring position late in a 1-run game. That's what this constitutes of. Nico Hoerner hitting a whopping 337 with a 404 on base in 2022, and Ian Happ batting 153 with a 221 on base. And people say, well, look, they're Hoerner's still going to get opportunities with men on. Ian Happ's still going to get opportunities with nobody on. But ideally, if you just flip them in the order, you're going to get the most out of each hitter. And I understand the counter is, well, Happ's hit leadoff in the past and it hasn't worked well. That's been a while, okay? If you're serious about winning games and Ian Happ's serious about getting a contract, you sit him down and lead him off, or you lead off Suzuki and have Happ hit second. Last thing I'll say before I swing it over to you. I love Nico Hoerner's ability with the hit and run. And to lead off a ball game, there's nobody on base to hit and run with. And I want to see the Cubs do that more because they don't have power. This is not a great lineup. The Cubs offense is the weakest point of their team. They're going to have to manufacture runs and be very smart to produce 4 to 5 runs every single day. And I just believe my case on that, and this will be the last time I mention it because it's happening. Nico Hoerner's hitting leadoff. I just don't think it's the best fit for each player.
Oh, man, that was a smash hit. Slam dunk work by you. Yeah, I think gone are the days when the leadoff hitter is quick, makes contact, is a nuisance all the time. But oddly enough, I think Nico Hoerner, does a lot of that a lot of the time.
Right.
I do think him having the most plate appearances certainly intrigues me.
Yes.
I do believe he's going to be. I don't even know how many off days he's going to get if he's healthy. I'm sure they're going to regulate him.
He'll get some.
Yeah. I think the biggest holdup for me, and you put it so well, is the offense is the weak point.
Mm-hmm.
And as I look up and down the lineup, in which I'm going to show and reveal and talk about in a minute or two, it is very top heavy.
Pedestrian.
And I just think that given the order of the players, I think Hoerner should be in more of a spot in which people are on.
Yeah.
And the stats back it up. And I just don't see a path to the 7, 8, 9 hitters being on that much. You're going to see who they are.
Right.
And you're going to hear about it in a minute. It's getting to be a joke that Gomes and Barnhart are actually going to bat 6th, 7th, or 8th in a batting lineup.
No, if they hit,
I thought it was automatic 9th.
If they hit 6, find a new host.
I thought it was automatic. It was signed, sealed, and delivered. The 9 spot. Maybe most days it will be. It's just a matter of opening day is not with the people that are going to be in there. But it's getting comical.
Man,
and by the way, there's good performances in the lineup right now.
Yeah.
Trey Mancini is hot. Eric Hosmer's made good contact.
Yeah.
Bellinger has accepted a walk or two.
Sure.
But I just think that right now I am starting to grow in a little bit of trepidation about the level of seriousness to come out of the gate. And addressing the question about who should bat leadoff, aside from Happ,
Hosmer's a candidate
who has this personal oddness about it, and David Ross is complying with his request.
Yeah, bad managing.
So who's the candidates? Eric Hosmer?
Yeah,
possibly.
I'd rather Hosmer than Hoerner.
Right,
but that's me.
Yeah, and Suzuki was a candidate prior to his injury.
Yeah, and you won't see him until Independence Day. No,
Patrick Wisdom is 1 for 11 in his career against Burns. We mentioned that on the show the other day.
Well, he's not a leadoff candidate.
I don't think he's going to start an opening day. So I've updated the opening day lineup.
Yeah, and look, you're doing an opening day lineup.
I am.
But it's
not a starting lineup.
Yeah, like Wisdom's probably going to get the bulk of the starts. But right, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, Palatine native Mike Talkman is hitting 8th. We go Hoerner, Swanson, Happ, Mancini, Bellinger, Hosmer, Gomes, Talkman, and Madrigal.
Yeah,
that's going to be on opening day. Madrigal's the second leadoff man playing 3rd. Talkman right field. He seems to be perhaps the leader right now. That's Gomes hitting 7th. Mancini has been hitting cleanup. He provides some lefty-righty balance if you want it there, 3, 4, 5. And Hoerner and Swanson is this new daily double at the top. You're upset. It's upsetting when I see this.
That's a hard lineup to take seriously.
That's going to be a 2-1 ball game.
That's hard, man. That's a hard line.
I know it is. A lot has been upended here. Suzuki injury, Madrigal hype. That's the main two, I think. Hap stubbornness.
It's hard to take that seriously. Can you put it back up?
Oh yeah.
The one thing I'd say, just if we're doing the spirit of the segment here, is you probably put Mancini between Bellinger and Hosmer for late in the game.
Right.
So you don't go lefty there. So then you don't let one of their lefties face those guys. But then again, Hosmer last year hit lefties fine. You definitely can't put Talk. I see why you put Gomes 7th, because you can't go Bellinger, Hosmer, Tauchman.
Right.
But there's just no way Jan Gomes could bat 7th on opening day.
He's going to. I'm telling you.
Well, then, if this
I would like you to stay as the host. Please don't threaten that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just
tired of that.
And to be fair to this specific lineup, this is to face Burns.
It's for one game.
Madrigal versus Burns, we've already talked about, but in general, the everyday lineup. Oh my God. I really didn't realize how much we're going to miss Suzuki.
Well, Wisdom is going to play some right as well. Maybe Velasquez makes this club.
Yeah, that's not going to make the lineup
with Tauchman.
That's not going to make the lineup look any better.
Right.
So
that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. So pitching.
I'm optimistic for the season.
Pitching and defense and
timely hitting.
Ooh.
Pitching and defense and timely hitting.
Can you flash that up one more time?
Yeah.
All right, I just want to go through and just see who's going to hit homers on this club. But by the way, do I have this right? Bodie's homered, Rios is homered, Mancini's homered. Do we have any other homers in the whole spring?
Not that I know
of. Where's all the power? What do we played? 11 games? We have 3 homers?
Yeah.
You
want it up again, or?
No. Okay. No, I just didn't realize it looked that poor aesthetically.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be tweeting this out after.
No, don't do that. Don't ruin people's night.
No, I'm going to.
Madrigal. Oh Lord.
Well, so that's the lineup, folks.
A lot of hit and running. A lot of hit and running, and
maybe a slash.
Yeah, a lot of slapping. Okay,
we bring the slash back.
I don't have much to add. I said my piece.
You did. You made a strong argument, and
you flip Hosmer lead off and then put Hoerner right in the middle. Looks better, but that's just me.
Let me do that right now. Maybe.
Yeah, and then you put Bellinger down a notch, Hap up a notch.
You know who is making a great argument right now for a spot on this opening day roster?
It's going to be
Wesneski, and we talk about him.
Coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. For example, the Cubs are looking for an opening day right fielder.
Mike Tauchman.
So Mike Tauchman would have that on his profile. Nelson Velasquez, some other dudes out there as well. And that's what LinkedIn Jobs is trying to do. They have simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you would like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Some spring training updates from Monday as following a shutout start. His first outing, which included striking out Julio Rodriguez, Hayden Wesneski went 2 2/3 more innings on Monday, allowing 1 run, which was not earned, 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 3. And he now carries a 0.0 ERA with 7 Ks, 2 walks, and 4 2/3 innings so far this spring. And I have decided, as the host, co-host, and executive producer, EP of this program, I am going to put Wesneski's ERA in the rundown after every one of his starts because he needs to make the opening day roster. If he's pitching like this, and if the Cubs are serious about the best players available in each spot, and realizing that they have 28 baseball games from March 30th to April 30th, then Wesneski would be in this rotation. He would give the rotation a huge boost that first part of the schedule. He would make 4 or 5 starts, and enough is enough.
Yeah, I think Samson, we got to see what's happening with him.
Yeah, he starts Tuesday.
Yeah, that's going to be a really big start for him. If he gets beat up tomorrow, you're going to start hearing a lot more rumblings of this.
Well, I'm starting the rumblings.
And by the way, and obviously I don't think his spot is in jeopardy. It's early, but Drew Smiley's been awful.
Yeah, he hasn't been good.
He's given up about 280 hits in 6 innings.
Maybe Wesneski gets the 4 spot.
But it's like, again, we talked about this yesterday. What do you take seriously? What don't you?
Well, listen, I want to have some fun with it. I'm starting to take it a little more seriously.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Smiley will ultimately be okay. I mean, they just signed him.
I hope so.
Decently, Samson's not a big deal if he doesn't pan out, but they just re-signed Smiley, which I think we both were a little surprised by, at the AAV and the structure
2-year
of that deal.
Yeah.
What was it? 2 years, set like 20. What was something like that?
I think it was 18.
Yeah, 18. 2 years, 18. So that's not a small deal. So for that money, he needs to pitch and he needs to pitch well. So it'd be nice to get him going. But yeah, Wesneski looks good and. It's good to see, and like I said, my guess is he doesn't start on opening day, on the roster, but he will be pitching at some point for the Cubs. I'd like to see Mervis get going a little bit so we can pound on the table for that. He's had a slow spring. How about Kevin Alcantara today? He doubled, I believe he's hitting 500 on this young kid spring campaign. and PCA is threatening Ricky Henderson with these stolen bases. I mean, my God. And by the way, can I just say something? I know it's not under Wesneski, but I'm starting to get a little tired of the Corey Patterson comp with PCA. Look, First of all, Corey Patterson wasn't a bad player until he got hurt. I think like in 2003, he had the highest WAR on the team until he went down. And secondly, if Corey Patterson were playing right now, he'd be like a lot more valued because of analytics and WAR. And secondly, Corey Patterson had a lot of natural talent. Just because he didn't pan out, PCA has a lot of natural tools. Let's let those develop before we just label him some past Cubs player that is looked at as not great. How about some positivity here? Okay.
Yeah, that's weird.
I love this kid.
Choose positivity.
This kid has a floor that is up here, meaning his absolute worst case.
It's a treehouse.
Is he's an everyday center fielder.
The floor is a treehouse.
Yeah, and the ceiling's the roof. As Michael Jeffrey Jordan once said.
Yeah, that's great.
Remember him? He was a basketball player.
Yeah.
He played in this city actually for a while, won some titles. He had a good run.
Somebody make a gif of this.
But yeah, no, great Wesneski. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anything else? Anything else?
Everyone pitched well again Monday. Barucki, Boxberger, Wick, Duffy, and prospect Ben Brown.
No, Ben Brown pitched today.
Scoreless.
I still got to watch it. Hey, by the way, I know it's not a big deal, but nice to see they got 2 runs in 2 1/3 inning off an ace quality pitcher like Luis Castillo.
Right.
That's, I don't know. You just look for little things.
Mancini now 9 for 16 this spring.
Yeah, Mancini's hitting. Good for him. Good for him.
Real well.
Good for him. Good to see him healthy and hitting. And Edwin Rios, every time he gets a hit, it's for extra bases.
Yeah, that is nice.
McKinstry's starting to warm up. He's hitting 167. Bodie went 0 for 2 today, so we don't have to talk about that finally.
Yeah, we could maybe cool our jets on him.
Yeah. Hey, is it me or has Tucker Barnhart not played much?
He hasn't.
Like a lot of Dom Nunez.
Yeah, and Luis Torrens.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Well, a lot of good stuff here. The Cubs again with some great pitching on Monday. They play the Rangers of Texas in Tuesday's contest. You could hear about that on Wednesday's episode. Carter Hawkins visited with Mully and Haw Monday morning on 670 The Score. We're just going to share a couple quotes coming up next. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Cubs general manager Carter Hawkins spent time with Mully and Haw Monday morning on 670 The Score. And I would like to give you a quote on Chris Morel. If I could. On Morel, Hawkins said, quote, he had a heck of a year last year. A really productive player. We forget he started in Double-A and came up straight from Double-A.
Yep.
He's already shown us he can help us win at the MLB level. It's going to be hard not to put him on the roster, but we have some options, and those things tend to play out over the next couple of weeks, close quote. Sounds like he's going to Des Moines.
Yeah.
This is read between the lines segment.
Yeah, I would have to have listened to it.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he started the year at AAA with the way he's looked off, the way he finished the year. Because remember, his overall numbers from last year look okay.
Yes.
He was outstanding in the beginning, and he fell off a cliff.
Right.
And now he's starting this year, again, not hitting. I know he brings defensive versatility, but does he? Does he? Or is he just playable at a bunch of positions? I don't trust him at third. I don't love him in center.
Yeah, that's not helpful for him.
Yeah, so I don't know.
He played second Monday.
I think Christopher Morel has a ton of tools, and he's a guy to keep an eye on. But I wouldn't be surprised if he started the year at AAA. But it's hard with all the, Suzuki being hurt. I didn't realize initially what a domino effect that was going to have and just how awful it makes the rest of the team look just on paper.
Yeah.
It's like, we just penciled in a guy that I literally – I've heard of him, but I didn't even realize he was on the Cubs' radar 3 weeks ago, and now he's our projected starting right fielder on opening day. That's weird. That's weird. Can I say this?
Yes.
I don't think that there's really a great option here for right field and third base. So I'm not I've already said I would have liked it to have been Mervis at first, Mancini and right. Mervis isn't hitting well enough for that to happen. So I don't because you asked me before the show, we were talking, you're like, hey, tell me what you think the lineup's going to be. I can't. And that's not a great sign. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't really think any starting right field decision / starting third base decision is really going to be wrong. They're going to do their best to get it right, and we'll let it play out. The options aren't great. In right field, we're talking Tauchman. Mancini's most likely going to DH. So we're talking Tauchman. We're talking Velasquez. We're talking Wisdom.
And that's probably it.
Yeah, third base, we're talking Madrigal, Wisdom, McKinstry.
That's probably it.
There's no obvious choice here. So,
and maybe on 3 consecutive days, different people start.
Yeah, that's why this year Ross and Hoyer are going to play such a huge part, because lineup construction and finding those small advantages and trying to steal runs is going to be how they're going to win a lot of games, because their pitching and defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. But being kept in a lot of games and winning a lot of games are two different things.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button on all your favorite Locked On Cubs content. We're in your ears, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more on the audio side. And you can drop us a text at 312-834-4634. Shout out to Bill in Wisconsin, who's been firing off some good text the last couple of days. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make your second Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Locked On Fantasy Baseball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.